We're still a few months away from hurricane season, but the National Hurricane Center announced storm names for the 2025 season.
Meteorologist Chris Mulcahy is here to tell us all about them and share those names.
Luckily, we're not talking anything to do with the tropics. Now, we have historically had some things happen in March and April, way earlier than normal, but that's not the case this year. But let's go through the list just as a preliminary. For one, the National Hurricane Center's doing a lot of different changes this year. We're actually the cone, and I gotta give a shout out to my man Rusty, who's our director here. He actually pinned me off on this. One of the coolest changes that they're doing is the cone is actually going to be 3 to 5% smaller because the improved performance over the last 5 years. It doesn't seem like much, but it is pretty big. All right, so here's the list. There's a list, there's 6 lists that are for a recurrence of each season. Now, the one that's really changed that's going to stand out is Dexter. Dexter is the newest name. You've never seen Dexter before because this list was repeated in 2019. So you actually see the same list every 6 years ago. So the last one was 2019. It was 2012 before that. But Dorian, probably remember that name. Dorian was retired, so Dexter is the new one. But there's some names as we're going to go down the list. We have Andrea, obviously, Barry, Chantal, Dexter, Aaron. Some of these actually have specific pronunciations. So this is going to impact us as meteorologists and newscasters. You might say, oh, it's Fernand. It's actually Fernand. Fernand. The D is not pronounced in this. Imelda is another one that might trip some people up. It's not Umberto, it's Umberto. Umberto is the correct pronunciation for that one. And the last one, Sebastian is how it's actually Sebastian. Sebastian.
Yeah.
Sebastian. So there's a few of these because it's not just, you think it's like, well, why are all these names? Because they actually include all the languages that are affected by the Atlantic hurricane season.
A lot of geography there because you have obviously Latino, you have Spanish, you also have French, you have Germanic or Dutch, and you have obviously English. So
yeah, Portuguese as well, yeah.
Portuguese, yeah, in some areas. So yeah, that's why we have such a variance of names. What is that, the new name they're talking about there?
Oh, that's Dexter.
Dexter.
It's almost, is that a joke?
Yeah, there's certain ones you're like, come on. Like, I don't want Barry to be mean. I don't want Dexter.
Hurricane Dexter, come on.
No, we'll see. I think it was Milton last year. I was really hoping it wasn't going to happen. But I do want to bring up one other point. There are 3 letters that are the most retired of any of them. Number 1, I. There's been more I names retired than any of them. It's been a grand total of 14. Number 2, the F names. Number 3, the C names. So whenever those ones pop up, always watch especially carefully. And the reason why I is retired the most, that's usually around the peak of hurricane season, so it's the highest odds.
Q, X, and Y are not used because you don't have any names.
They would run out quick.
Right.
The World Meteorological Society is the organization that decides that gets those lists together every 6 years.
Didn't know that there were 6 lists. So that's something new. Didn't know that.
Rotating lists.
Some of them change a lot as we continue, but all in all, this one is relatively unchanged except for Dexter.
Gotcha.
Got it.
I think there is a Lisa that I've seen.
There is a Lisa. I've seen that.
Hasn't been retired yet.
Yes.
And Ben, I'm not sure, is Ben on the list?
I don't know if
I
there's.
feel like I would remember that.
There's a Chris, and I'm pitiful.
I would, and Larry is too. Larry, but Ben should be replace Dexter. Well, at least somewhere in the name.
So
we'll see if Barry does anything, then we'll get a Ben on there.
There you go. That's what I say. Or maybe to our prior point, maybe it would be, the Spanish version and be Benjamin.
Benjamin? Yeah, that sounds good.
Could be.